But yeah, man, thanks for jumping on. It's been it's been a joy, and obviously I've said this to you directly, but I've been kind of dumbfounded by having you do what you do, or watching you do what you do, just because I didn't really know a whole lot about your background, how you came into the industry, and then the numbers that you put up. I was like, wait, who is he again? And then I met you, and I was like, he did what? Um, so I want to kind of just start from the beginning for both me and everybody else, and just tell us kind of what you were doing before FFL, how you found us, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep that part short. So I was in the car industry, which I found it pretty early, about age 19. Worked my way from sales to management rather quickly. The finance manager for a good 4 or 5 years. So dealt in numbers and contracts and selling the intangibles, right, of warranties, gap, all that good stuff of the what if. So this was a really easy transition for me. But yeah, 13 years in the business and essentially retired as a general sales manager, which pretty much oversees everything. GM is top spot. I was number 2. GM liked to take a lot of lunch breaks, and he was going to the bank that would last 4 hours. But anyway, right. So yeah, I pretty much oversaw everything, managed upwards of 50, 60, 70 people at a time. All the different personalities and different responsibilities of each individual. So kind of came from a similar world. This is just a different product essentially. But yeah, similar.
How did you find this?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So in my career in the automotive industry, Shannon Womble, great individual. He ran into this through, warm market list off of somebody, right? And yeah, he hadn't even got, so here's some coaching that I give to my team, and hopefully you guys listen. Shannon, I don't even know that he even had his license yet when he inboxed me about Family First Life. I don't think he did. He sent me over the 7-minute Shawn Mike video. It was great information, got me interested. And then I went and did my own research, started digging around. And at that point, that's when Family First Life was still doing the big leaderboards, like for the country and stuff. So, the top 20 or top 25 leaderboard they used to do all the time. So somebody was on the board for 163,000 AP that week. And I was like, oh, that's a singular week, right? And don't know whether I want to keep this in there or not. I told Shannon Wamba, I said, that is Pablo Escobar money, right? Because Narcos was what my wife was watching at that point. Yeah. So I said, babe, even if I'm 10% as good as that individual, and I've been dealing with the general public for 13 years, I think I might have found something. So I started looking at the leaderboard, and I was digging deeper in the sense of they didn't put last names, it was only initials, and I think we still do that. So I went and found these people on Facebook, and everything matched. Like I said previously, they're excited about their week. They just did 8 grand, 7 grand, 10 grand, 25 grand. And I'm not one to judge, but good handful of those people, I'm like, they made 10 grand, right? And being that my previous in the car industry, the average agent, sales agent in the car industry sells like 8 or 10 cars a month, and I was doing 20 to 25. So I'm like, again, even if I'm 10% as good as the 163 guy, the most I ever made in the car business, because they capped my income no matter how good we did, at 15 grand. So like that was my cap for the month, and I had other businesses going to get near. I came into this already making like 200 grand a year, but I saw the uncapped and unlimited potential as well as unlimited clientele when it came to leads, and that made so much sense to me. Because as a salesperson on a car lot, as you well know, I'm sure all of you are going to buy a car, going with somebody to buy a car. You pull on the lot, and there's like 3 salespeople practically racing to your driver door, right? So at the lot every day, I was hoping to be the first to the car to even get an opportunity. And I saw this and saw I could literally purchase at a small rate, and the return was so high, but I could get as many clients as I could handle.
Right.
So yeah, it was a very easy decision.
Okay. So let's go through those first couple of weeks, that onboarding, that transition. Can you hold your arms up for everybody to see? So obviously there's some things that kind of play into your career, you sitting across the table from people, that perception.
Gotcha.
So talk to
Yeah.
us about your onboarding, how you kind of eliminate that piece there from prejudging, because everybody does it,
Yeah.
and how you kind of overcame that to kind of start your career and build that momentum as you got started.
Yeah. So I'm a 2 feet in kind of guy. So I jumped right into this ordeal, ordered 50, 60 brand new final expense leads, a comma or better in the first lead order. But this wasn't to show a lot of people. I'm a watch guy, right? It wasn't for that. It was all the tattoos that I have. That's what Wayne was referring to. Is so when I first started in this, obviously we're dealing with a different generation. Some are okay with and some are not. But when I was sitting across the table, probably the first few months when I just ran in this gear, I could see as I'm trying to have a discussion with these clients, obviously about a serious topic here, I could just kind of see them like, trying to read the scripture on my arms, or maybe a little tight because I do have so many tattoos that maybe it's not something they like. And I could tell, yeah, see Andrew's flashing too, right? But I came from being in finance and a sales manager in the car industry. We had to wear a suit and tie. So I was okay with that. So I go to the table with suit and tie. And a big reason why, for one, to cover up the tattoos, but for two, when a client tells me, oh, you look nice, I say, look, I'm just trying to be the best representation of myself that I can be, right? Because I own my business. So not only that, I do a lot of IULs and annuities. I have his and hers IULs for 60,000 AP, getting ready to finish up right now. And I say that to say, I want to look like their financial advisor, right? Whenever you go and sit with a professional and they have a suit and tie on, a lot of times you're going to associate that with doctors, lawyers, right? Financial advisors. And I want that same level of respect at the table. That way, when I have to ask the questions I ask, which I lay the table for that, but I don't get pushback because I look like, sound like, and carry myself like the other professionals they're used to sitting in front of as a client, a patient, or a student, right? So I want that same respect level. Not to be misconstrued with, I don't go in there and talk, well, Mr. and Mrs. Like, no, I don't do that. We still have a good time. We still have a conversation. But the good time doesn't start till we are doing an application, by the way.
Right. So that transition from car sales to insurance, obviously different product, different world. What are some of the things that you did to shorten that learning curve, to make sure you were kind of stepping in the right footprints? What are some of the things that you did to help facilitate that onboarding process to all but ensure a successful transition and seamless transition to FFL?
Same thing I still do every single day.
Nice.
Train.
I'm so glad you said that.
Train. Look, here's the deal. You can actively give yourself a raise every day. Okay. So even if we talk for the next 30 minutes, 45 hours, whatever, and you pick up one nugget, if you do that once, every nugget you pick up in this industry has the ability to increase your income. Okay. So I was looking for at least a nugget a day, but really, while I was waiting, won't get into the details, but it took like 2 months for all my stuff to go through. And even then it wasn't all through. So I went out and started writing paper apps. I got tired of waiting. See, again, I came from making money, so I wasn't hurting. Like I was working, doing my own thing, still making 13, 14, 15 grand a month, waiting on this to go through. So I just kind of got tired of waiting. I leaderboard after leaderboard after leaderboard every week. And I'm like, man, I should be up there. So finally I was like, look, I'm gonna buy some leads and what I gotta do, So Luke was my direct mentor when I came in. And that's another thing for you guys. Shannon Womble recruited me, but he hadn't yet got his license. I don't think at that point, even when he did, he was slow start because he was transitioning from where he was. So Luke was my mentor. So what I tell my folks, when you're sharing this awesome opportunity that we have, You don't have to hands-on train one-on-one with every single agent. That's what the resources are for. So for those 2 months, every bit of downtime I had, I was on YouTube watching. I literally watched up until that point I got started. There was like 500 plus videos available on YouTube that have been released on Facebook, or I'm sorry, on YouTube. And I watched every one of them, and some of them several times over. I had 6 notebooks full of notes. And I still have those notebooks in my office. Because the thing is looking like it and sounding like it, right? Professional. You can't sound like it if you don't know what you're talking about, which you have to train, right? So that's instilled every day. So we're releasing so much content throughout Family First Life daily right now. There's no excuse for failure. Right. Failure only comes behind lack of work, because what we do is very simple. We buy leads with people asking for the information. We dial those leads. We set an appointment. We go over and figure out how to best help them. That's all we do.
Yeah.
So don't complicate it.
Just out of curiosity, you talked about training every day, and you still do it. What'd you issue last year?
826,000, 826,000.
$826,000 on your own pen. Okay. Now you said that now you write a lot of IULs and annuities.
I literally write everything. So I don't do the simplified issue. That's our bread and butter. But go ahead.
Yep. That's exactly what I was going to say. How did you get from, I don't know, aside from the training, I don't know anything about it. I'm coming into insurance. I don't know anything about insurance, to, okay, this is what I'm going to do, to now I write, I'm sure, for like probably $3-4 million in annuities last year, and his and hers IULs. And his and hers IULs. And I see the numbers, 40, 30, 40, 50, $50,000 his and her IULs. How did you get from cars to this person that everybody wants to pull up beside at conferences and pick your brain?
Again, it's all training. The thing about it is to properly serve the clients that we sit with. We have what, 17 carriers, 20 carriers, something like that. I don't know. I know we have our core group of carriers, but I don't know the total number anymore. But why would you not want to be fully equipped to properly serve your clients? Because if you're not, you can't properly serve them. Because I can't tell you how many agents that I run across or run behind, right, with a client. I just booked 3 this morning that an agent's already been over this week. Okay. I'll go behind, sometimes write double, triple the premium, because that agent was too scared to show them what they really need. Because as I tell my clients, you can sit with an agent and do the right thing the first time and never have to do it again. So I wanted to make sure I was fully equipped that, again, I could put my client in the best position possible. And if you're not training on IULs and annuities, you won't even know that you're missing an opportunity to put that family in truly in the best position they can possibly be in. And not only that, I mean, the average life policy that we write, I took a look at this too, and David Powell really brought this to my attention. But the average life policy that we write, about 1,000 AP, right? That's about what we say. The average annuity that gets issued statistically within Family First Life is for 100,000. So even if it's your first annuity at 5 1/4, the average commission on an annuity is $5,250. Why would you not try to figure that out?
Yeah.
Right. Why would you not want to study that? And it made sense to me in terms of with an IU index universal life and a fixed indexed annuity where the client could never lose money. You're putting the client in a really good position. So when I write those, this isn't, and knock on wood, okay, those don't cancel, because those are lifelong plans.
Plans, they're not just policies, not transactional. Those are plans that you're putting together. Correct. For people. So what are you looking? And I want to go back to, you said you run behind a few agents that have already been there. But before we do that, since we're talking about IULs and annuities, what are you looking for when you walk in the house in an IUL opportunity? And how do you uncover that? And then how do you transition to, okay, this is what we're going to do?
Gotcha. So, couple things. I'd never gone with the intention to write either of those products. Those opportunities are found, but it's found with the knowledge that when I see a certain scenario, I'll take it that direction. But I'll preface the whole annuity thing to say this. There's only one client, I've written a lot of annuities. There's only one client that I've written an annuity for that I didn't first write a simplified issue life policy for. Right? Because that's where the trust is built. And some of that might blow your mind in the sense of I've written a $400,000 annuity and wrote a $50,000 life policy. Right? Because to me, life insurance and assets are separate. Unless we have to leverage assets to the health instead of life insurance. But 95% of the time that I run into life insurance, and see, I've used it as a tax plug, right? So if they haven't paid taxes on that 400,000, and let's just say, I say, I'm not a tax specialist, I always have to say that, but let's just say, Uncle Sam's going to take 20% of that. And I educate the client to let them know, hey, the wealthy transfer their wealth by leveraging life insurance to plug tax deficits on their assets. So 20% of 400,000 would be $80,000 life insurance policy to make sure the surviving spouse or the beneficiaries don't lose any of that 400,000, right? Because you plug it with a tax-free payout. So same thing with the IULs. More IULs I'll write straight up, but I would say it's probably about 50-50 where I'll write a life policy. And depending on the situation, I'll treat an IUL just as a kind of a retirement vehicle. So I'll write a $200 life insurance policy, but find out they've been putting aside $1,000 into their retirement. So mentally, they're already doing the 1,000 over into their retirement, and they're also looking at life insurance, right? So in their mind, it's separate. So why would I try to join the two? Let's keep it separate. All right. So, and then Mutual of Omaha IULE, I've written a ton of that. And really the pockets I look for is 61 to age 70 that can't get the cashback option. And then smokers north of 50. See, an IULE will also take a diabetic on insulin. As long as it wasn't, long as they didn't get diagnosed prior to age 50. So I found a great pocket for the IULE that I've probably written like 40-50,000 of this year.
Yeah, that's a great underwriting tip. That 50-year-old threshold for insulin, for diabetes, period. Mutual of Omaha will take anything beyond 50. And then
the smokers rates. Yep. And I know America's our number one carrier, but at times, obviously, the level of coverage doesn't fit in budget. And I've seen as much of a difference between the two, and the IULEs they've caught up with. But this is another underwriting thing. As I've saw differences as much as $100, $200 difference in premium for the same level of coverage for a permanent product. So I'm America first, Mutual if it makes sense.
Okay. Now, this command that you have over underwriting and products, is this something that you sat down and did? Is this something that happened over time? Because I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm not ready. I just need to study some more. How did this come about?
Running appointments, and a lot of them. That's how you learn underwriting the best, right? Calling the mentor in the home. I still call my mentor. Just understand that if I run into situations that I've never seen before, maybe illnesses or something, or I'm like, hey, I got a big case and maybe I'm blending a couple things, life insurance, IUL, maybe an annuity, dripping assets to fund a life insurance, something, I'll reach out to my mentor still, right? And I'm north of $1 million production. I think somewhere in the ballpark of $1.5 million in the past 2 years. I know there's JP's crushed that, Steve G's crushed that, right? So not nowhere near the best. Brad Allen, I mean, he cracked $1 million last year too. Amazing guy. So if you heard him speak, yeah, he does everything as well. IULs, news, everything. He's a real student in the game. But it came through running a lot of appointments, and then to me, again, though, that the permanent aspect and lifelong plans of IULs and annuities, I just again applied running so many appointments. I took all kinds of different shots at annuities. See, last year, although the first year, full year I was in this thing, from when I started I missed out on, it was $9.2 million worth of annuity funds because I don't throw away my, when I go sit with a client, because I analyze after. And started last year, I said that'll never happen again. So I ended up doing about 3 mil and some change, whatever it was. I said there's no way, because everybody had their funds in the stock market where they could lose it, which would affect them and their beneficiaries. So I missed out on saving clients, saving $9.2 million worth of funds.
Right.
So I just kept taking shot after shot after shot after shot after shot, and just kind of fine-tuned how I introduced it or how I asked about it. Or everybody's personality is different. Some people you can ask directly, some you can't. Some will get offended, some won't. Right. So it was just trial and error through a lot of appointments.
Got it. Now, you said something before about you booked three appointments today of people that have already sat with somebody. And I know a lot of people on here are just getting their phone legs about themselves. What does that sound like when because obviously they said we already got it taken care of, or we're already working with somebody. What does that sound like for them to be like, oh, okay, Chris, come on over?
Yep. So let's say I call a client and they say they've sat with somebody. The main thing about the phones that you need to get down pat and be able to be aware of your, as Tony Robbins says, and this really hit me, be aware of your state of being. Okay. You got to be aware of where you're at emotionally. Right. And be able to identify when you're in a spot where you're doing what you know you're not supposed to do, or talking like tone wise. So you can't get excited. Right. Phone's got to be completely unemotional. See, almost every single appointment I book up until this point, I dial live on Zoom in front of the team. It holds me accountable. And it allows me to train. And when I get off the phone, I say, you see, they said this here, right? So I dial live for that accountability part. I get told no live, right? I get people hang up on me, people cussing me, whatever. And note that with 826,000, I got a lot of that last year, but also I helped a lot of families. So remaining unemotional about that is the person who picks up the phone, yells at you, tells you to get a real job, and hangs up the phone, right? They're going to forget about this phone call in about 15 minutes. You'll sit and talk about it all day. And that used to be me too, right? Got to be unemotional. We're just going through the numbers and dialing through to find the families who truly want to help. So I say that to say, when somebody says, oh, no, we already got it taken care of. Okay, perfect, Wayne. Let me ask you a question. It sounds like you sent in multiple forms to try to get the best value for yourself, right? And if they hang on past this point, then I'm going a little deep and they go, well, I mean, yeah, but we already got somebody. Hey, listen, no problem. The reason why I say that though, Wayne, right? And I'll slow everything down. The reason why I say that though, Wayne, is because I represent about 20 different carriers and over 100 different products within my portfolio. It sounds like you got that policy relatively, not too long ago, right? And generally they're like, yeah. I said, okay. So it's great to hear that you qualified. I mean, you're doing the right thing by protecting your family, but knowing that I have all these carriers, unless your health has changed in the last week or two since you got that policy, then I 100% know I can put you in a better place. The difference is you actually have to, I'm sorry. The thing about it is you have to let me know. So they have me out in your area and I'll get back into the script. And then once if they, you're better available for about, look, it makes my job easier too. You already have something in place. So you're better available for about 10 or 15 minutes because I'll be able to look at what you have. And here's your agreement between us, Wayne, is that if I can't put you in a better situation, then you just stay with what you have. And it makes sense, right? Like, well, yeah, but we're happy with what we have. Wayne, I hear you, but you're going to be paying this bill for what, the next 20, 30 years at least? So let me do this. If I can save you anything, put you in a better position, add some benefits, then great. If not, I'm going to have about 8 other families to go see. So it's okay, Wayne, I promise you. So you say you're better available in the afternoon. So like, I just keep like, hey, it's not a big deal. You just stay with what you got. But they have me out in the area anyways. Like, it's just very, and if there's any pushback at all past that, I'm just still, hey, I know you have something in place when you told me that already. What I'm trying to do is put you and your wife or you and your family in a better situation, because I'm sure you'd want to keep more money in your bank account every month, right? And it's just very like, why wouldn't you just let me come over to just see if I can?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I carry that. It's not like, oh, I can save you money, and I can, like, there's a lot of agents like, oh, okay, great. Well, like, if I can save you some money, you get all wound up and the tone goes up. I don't change. This is how I talk on the phone. Exactly like this. I don't change. I don't care if they yell at me. I don't care if they tell me they got something, not interested. I didn't do that. I do not change, because if you get wound up with them, you're a salesperson just trying to sell them something. If you don't, you're just doing their job and, handling their file. But if you start getting defensive on the phone, you're viewed as an automatic salesperson who's just looking to come to the house and make a quick buck. But if you stay monotone and chill, you're just doing your job as far as they hear it.
Yeah, and that piece about slowing down, I hear a lot of agents try to speed up, even to get through the script anyway. They talk fast to get to a certain point, but a lot of times they hang up or they disconnect because they can't understand you. And if they were going to hang up, they're going to hang up anyway. So that piece about if they're still there, then essentially you got them. So you intentionally slow down a little bit more, enunciate and speak clearly, because you know that they're hanging on to every word and that they're listening with a certain level of intent. Do you do that in the house too?
Oh yeah, 100%. But see, on the phone, that little part right there where I'll intentionally slow it down. Wayne, real quick, let me ask you a question. How do they hang up on that? Because psychologically, when someone's like, hey, let me ask you a question real quick, right? Real inquisitive, they're gonna listen for a few more seconds to hear what that question is.
Yeah, people are nosy.
Yeah, bingo. So I intentionally, no, I already got it taken care of. No, I'm good. I appreciate you. Hey, Wayne, real quick. And then I'll slow it down. Like I'll jam in the real quick, and then I'll slow it down to where we need to be talking at. But in the home, it's the same thing. In the home, it's the same exact thing. Intentional pauses and word tracks and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Got it. So I know you have some time, but before I let you go, because I know that there's a wealth, just because of the few conversations that we've had, there's a wealth of information. We could sit here for hours, but I wanted to open it up to some specific questions that people have for you, having written $800,000. I've never done it. Ivan's never done it. So there's insight, obviously, that you can part that neither one of us are capable of doing. So give them an opportunity, and Craig's chomping at the bits already to ask some questions specifically for you.
Okay, here we go.
All right, go ahead, Craig.
Well, thanks for being here, Chris. So my question, it really hit me on, you said on your financial inventory, you take real specific notes and you refer back to those to make another appointment for ancillary business. So what all do you dive into, or what's your approach when you're asking these questions at the table? And then do you have like a timeline that you'll call them back, like with an idea that popped in your head, or what's that look like with the notes all the way to rebooking another appointment?
Okay. With a BAM fam scenario, as we call it, the next appointment gets booked while I'm there. There's no call back for that, because you just leave everything up to chance. Financial inventory, I delve into a lot of different stuff. I ask some questions differently. In regards to the mortgage, I don't say you paying anything extra. The way I word it, or just the way I word that question, there's 4 key questions that I ask. One is, I'll let you grab something there. Okay. So one is on the part that says here, it's better for me to do that here. So I don't know what financial inventory that you guys utilize, but this is the one they utilize. So up here in the mortgage, right? It says here, do you pay extra towards mortgage to pay off loan early? Okay. So that question, I say, let me ask you a question, Craig, in regards to your mortgage. Are you paying anything additional and try to pay it off sooner, a little more aggressively? Just the direct of, are you paying anything extra on your mortgage? That sounds like a box you would check, right? It's just, I don't like the wording of it. The next one, this says, how much money are you saving every month, right? That question, I don't ask it that way. I say, no, Craig, You guys saving anything monthly? You know, like rainy day fund. Now, most of my clients do somewhere like $200, $300, $500 a month. Whereabouts do you guys fall? And because everybody wants to be, you know, keeping up with the Joneses, they might not be saving anything, but they'll just say, oh yeah, we're on like that 200 range. All right, so let's just say they pay $100 extra on the mortgage. They say they save an extra $200, right? Now the golden question, we're asking about 401k, IRAs and stuff, right? So I'll ask, now, do you guys have anything else that would act like life insurance that would be automatically transferable if it's a couple to each other, or Craig to your son, right? I don't know if you have a son, I'm just saying. So, but yeah, anything that would act like life insurance that would be immediately transferable to, you know, your spouse or whatever. So if they're still actively working, right? I'm asking about the 401k. You said inside a 401k. Oh yeah, I have one of those in my job. Great. So, let me ask you, are you more aggressive? Like some of my clients are like 8, 10, 12. And I mean, I have some clients that's aggressive as 15%. Whereabouts do you fall? All right. And you go, oh, I'm doing like 5%. Or let's just say, yeah, oh yeah, I'm doing 10%, right? Just to keep this math easy. Yeah, it's okay, great. Now is your company matching any of that? And I do see, this is natural. This is how I do it at the table. I'm like, any of it, anywhere on the scale. Let's say they say 10%. Oh yeah, my company's matching 5. Okay, great. So there's another 5%, right? So let's just say they're making $2,000 a month. Okay, that's another $100 on the 401k. And then I'll follow up after asking everything else at the end. I'll say, now, Craig, let me ask you a question. Aside from what you're already setting aside, like in your 401k and stuff, are you doing anything outside of the job to save for retirement? Because I know you don't want to work forever, right? And a lot of times, be like, oh yeah, man, we set up this Roth IRA at ABC brokerage, and we're putting aside like $100 in that a month. You know, just try to do something. All right, so now we got 100 extra to the mortgage, 200 extra aside in savings, another $100 over investing into a 401k where they can lose, and another $100 going over to ABC brokerage. So what's that all together? Look, we found $500 in the budget.
Wow, that's awesome. Man, thanks for that. And I like that when you're asking them if they're aggressive or conservative, you're kind of doing some suitability right there too, right there. And they don't even know.
And look, I found $500 going in the wrong place, right, in their budget. So don't take this as bragging. My average like house like per appointment is like 2,500 to 2,900. So they can't tell me they can't afford $250, $300 a month, and we got 500 going in the wrong places. So it makes the close really easy. And we walk through that, and I check in with them that they understand the money's going into the wrong place. So I just tell them, hey, my favorite thing to do when I come in a household is not to create a new bill for you, but if we can find a way to reallocate funds that might be going into the wrong places to make sure your family's protected, that way nothing changes with your budget. So when I run through these questions with you, that's what we'll be looking to do.
Man, that's smooth. Love it. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Long answer to a quick question.
I got a quick one for you, Chris, in regards to leads. Maybe, just maybe, some of the people on the call thinking you're working some special annuity leads. Can you clarify?
So here is, and I wasn't allowed to talk about it for a long time, right? But then Mark Mead during our interview kind of pulled it out. So when you study and get good at this craft, and I don't say great or whatever.
LIMRA suggests, and that's where I left off, LIMRA suggests that 80% of the sales made to existing life clients. How true is that? I'll rephrase my question a little bit. And do you use any special leads, or you just attack the regular leads and just ask them the golden question?
Yeah. So, and I'm gonna talk about that, Wayne. So okay. There are annuity leads out there, okay? Because he said, hey, as long as you're not talking about annuity leads, just talk about everything else. I've taken a look at annuity leads, okay? There's cheap ones out there that are just like, you know, $15-20. And again, it's super low close ratio. I've seen leads, annuity leads, as much as $375 a piece, still with no guarantees. Right. So the only leads I work is direct mortgage mailers personally. But kind of what I was saying before the call cut is that, so I wasn't allowed to talk about it for a while, but now I can, because Mark Me kind of opened it up. Is so when you get good at this craft, and I'm telling you, probably, I don't know, I'm probably north of 1,000 hours easily of training on this industry in some way, shape, or fashion. And with the average policy that I write, or just per appointment, you know, AP is like 2,900. So I came in running, you know, 25, 30, 35 appointments a week. So I had 2 mortgage mailers, and I generally see about 20, 25 leads a week from those 2 mortgage mailers. So that let me know I had to get really good on the phone and really good in the home. But that took me running 8, 9, 10 months of 25, 30, 35 appointments a week, final expense. And we didn't, like, internet life leads weren't heavy then. So final expense and whatever mortgage second chance I can get my hands on. So I say that to say, I'll work the same leads as you guys, but being a fully equipped agent to literally write everything that we have and know how to speak about them confidently and in detail is a big deal. Is that my man Quentin back there?
Yeah.
Man, it's so small. What's up, cute? So yeah, I mean, that's really the answer is this. When you first come in, we talk about all the time, the first 100 sits, right? You have pretty much seen everything. However, do not mistake sits with appointments. So it might take you 200 appointments to get the 100 sits. It's 100 times you sit with a client or clients. You have basically seen pretty much about everything that can be thrown at you in the home. So volume and the way you shorten your learning curve is running more appointments.
Awesome.
Because Trey Honeycutt talks about what an hour in the field is worth 100 hours, you know, online studying.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Have time for 1 or 2 more questions before we let Chris get back to his day.
I got a
I
question.
see Sam unmuted.
Yeah, that's me. Nice to meet you, Chris. Sam over here. Okay, so I really like what you're talking about with reallocating what they're spending, where they're spending it, and just kind of obviously directing it towards this. Now, obviously, I knew you're doing mortgage protection, but you're obviously doing IULs and annuities as well. And I know you set up an appointment in the future. Are you doing like a mortgage protection as like a base product, and then you're kind of pitching on top of that like an IUL, and then on top of that like annuity? Or are you trying to combine the IUL with the mortgage protection? Or how do you come
Everything?
about?
Yeah. Everything is case by case. I get what you're trying to ask. Everything is case by case. But if I can help it, I'm keeping the light. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A phone call came through, and my phone's more clear than my laptop, so I utilize this. But the life and the IULs I keep separate. I'm going there to take advantage. They didn't call me over to write them an IUL, so we're going to take advantage, or not advantage. We're going to take and put what they asked for in place, right? To protect what they were already looking to protect. I treat an IUL completely separate. It's more of a place where the client can put funds in, that it has a floor of 0. So if they're already setting aside savings, why not put it somewhere where it's still protected, but it can grow? And oh, by the way, it's got life insurance attached to it. Oh, by the way, it also has living benefits attached to it. Right. So I keep them separate. But like the his and hers for 60,000, where those death benefits are, obviously that's going to be rolled up into one plan, because pretty hefty death benefits. So it's case by case, but I keep them separate. Just like same scenario with an annuity, they didn't call me over to write them an annuity. It just so happened to be a great solution for them. We're going to take care of life insurance first. Like I said, there's only one client. I've written a lot of annuities. There's only one client I didn't write a policy for, and that's because he just had like heart surgery like 3 months ago, or previous to me going over there.
Okay, that makes sense. Can I ask one more follow-up, different direction? I've had I do a lot of mortgage protection as well, but I've sat down with older clients that have a ton of investments, life insurance, and whatever health reason, I have to look at like a standard or graded or something like that.
Mhm.
How do you come about with building the value there with like a permanent policy that's more expensive for somebody that's 70, 80 years of age, that has a bunch of already stuff that they can liquidate to kind of help? Does that
Gotcha.
make sense? Okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
you're a little choppy. That's all. I
sorry.
was trying to listen
Yeah.
through. No, it's all good. So with older clients that have, so that's also a case by case, right? So with older clients that have, there's no number really, but if they have annuity money, that's where we have the talk about preserving and growing the legacy that they already have set behind, right? Preserving and growing that. And with the bonuses that Athene offers, because I write a lot of Athene when it comes to annuities. But the bonuses that Athene offers, right? We're trying to sell a, critical time period coverage. I'm not saying don't do it, but if you're trying to sell a critical time period coverage and it's $400 for 12 grand, but if they have, $100,000 and you write a PE 15 plus, right now it's got a 17% bonus. We have the discussion of why pay for that when you get that from, right? As long as you put your funds over here, protect them, grow them, etc. But I'm like, instead of bringing a bill to you, I'm showing you a way to acquire not only what we're looking at, but a little bit more. And this option doesn't cost you any money, and it's actually much better for your family.
That makes sense. So you're not trying to necessarily go the direction of like mortgage equity protection or whatever. You're creating the value.
If they have
for-
funds and we're
Yes.
talking progressively to where that sounds like a good option for us, right? Then I'm going to lean heavier on that.
Makes sense.
Okay. Or again, we can have the tax deficit conversation about, have these funds been taxed? Probably going to say no. I just always throw out 20%, right? It could be more, it could be less. I don't know, but I always throw out 20%. So if it's 100 grand, that's 20,000, right? So we may just put in a policy in place to fill the tax deficit. And now we're not talking about critical time period coverage. We're talking about preserving the assets that the beneficiary is going to lose. It's case by case. It just depends on how our conversation is going and what they're looking to achieve. So a couple of different closes there with an annuity kind of leveraged on using life insurance as a plug somewhere. And also a lot of times, real quick, just on that, because let's just say if you do a lot of mortgage protection, let's just say their home balance is 100. I can give you a bunch of different closes, but just for the annuity side, I'll keep it simple with this last one is, let's say they got $150,000 left on the balance and the surviving spouse is not going to have enough income to sustain that, right? And they'll go, well, we got 200,000 in the bank. That's okay, great. Well, Wayne, since you're on my screen. Now, Wayne, have those funds been taxed yet? Or were those like pre-tax dollars you've just kind of rolled around since you retired? No, they haven't been taxed yet, right? Perfect. So let's just say Uncle Sam's obviously going to get his cut, right? I mean, you know that much. Let's just say 20%, because they'll kind of tax you like you've been like when you were working, because that's when you put the funds in. So Uncle Sam's going to take $40,000 just of taxes when Mary has to cash that out, which leaves you with 160, right? So if the mortgage balance is 150,000 and Mary wants to stay here, if she doesn't have the income to sustain an approval on the loan, that means she's going to have to liquidate 150,000 of that 160. Then she's left over, yes, with a paid off house, but 10,000 out of that 200,000. So what does she do after that? And I can take really any amount and cut it and chop it up into, let's just say she had 100 grand left over and he's bringing in $5,000 a month. Okay, great, Wayne. She's got a year and a half worth of income replacement left after she pays off the house. What does she do after that? It's just always, okay, then what after that? And I just put them in the thinking tank, and I just minimize the assets that they think they're so well protected, and they're really not. They're not. That's not like a trick. That's what really will happen.
Yeah, good deal.
So then the importance of insurance and safely growing those funds matter.
Right. Does anybody else have one more quick question? And just I don't know if you guys are paying attention to
Wayne's
his
smiling.
speech patterns and his gestures, because I sat across the table from him in Orlando, and we talked through a number of different things, and it's intentional. It's very intentional to kind of leave the client thinking and leave them on a cliff and have them pay attention to certain things. And Mindy's right. It's pure gold. And these are the things that you do to become great. I know your entire life they told you to keep your eyes on your own paper and not to copy, but I'm telling you now, watch these videos, watch these recordings, and cheat. Like, cheat your way to wealth. I mean, nobody's hiding anything. He's telling you everything. Nobody's hiding anything. Just copy it and apply it. Does anybody have one more quick question before I let Chris close us out? All right, I'm just gonna. Oh, go ahead, Andrew. Andrew's just getting started. Definitely want to give you a moment to.
Great, Chris, you should put one of these into a YouTube video, and that would help us out too.
Oh, they're out there.
Absolutely.
You're gonna get this recording too, Andrew. But Chris, something that you wish you had known starting out at FFL, or something that you make sure that your agents leave your office armed with when they go to start their career at Family First Life, that we can kind of give to our agents too.
When I say I still train every day, I do, but the training's more heavy on me, right? On my personal mindset, on my business acumen, just all of that. But everything starts with mindset. Everything. Because if you don't feel good, you probably aren't going to do good during the day or produce good or do what you're supposed to do, right? So realizing and understanding that you're in full control, and majority of our failures come by our poor choices. So if you're in a good mindset, right, you make good choices. So whether that's affirmations in the morning, I listen to a lot of, I have a lot of virtual mentors on YouTube, right? Don't want to shoot off a bunch of names here, but I need a mindset check every day. I have an office, I have 5 staff, I got a bunch of agents running around, I got myself, so family, wife, right, 3 kids. We have another family member living with us right now, and I have to give my mindset a check literally every day, just to make sure. So the vision that I have for myself and my family within this business and just my life in general. What you do now, right? I heard this concept about at the end of the day, right? You have to take a look at future you, right? What's this? Let's say 2031, Chris. Okay. If you look back at what I did today, right? Is that get me towards that 2031 Chris that I envision myself to be? When you look back and be like, yeah, you didn't hit it today, man. You know what I'm saying? Or am I moving closer to that, or am I pushing 2031 Chris to 2035? Because everything we do every day, everything we do each day, it does affect our futures, and as far as what we do, it affects other people's futures too. But if you're not in the right mindset, and I'll leave you with this quote. I heard it and it kind of changed some things for me. Is the first battle? Hold on, let me remember this perfectly. When we wake up in the morning, the first person we negotiate with is ourselves, meaning in the mirror. And if you lost that battle, then you lost the war, meaning you've lost the day. So if you can't look at you and be happy with you and what you're doing, right? We break more promises to ourselves than we do anybody else. So if you can't trust yourself, that's a big deal. It crushes your self-esteem. So the mindset check every day is the biggest thing. Doesn't matter what you do in this business for your life. And that will exude from you if you're in a good place.